Hey, what's up everybody? So today's double quick review will be of the full mechanics and high grade aerial. Starting off, I had to say that these two are some of the best looking and best kits that I have in my whole collection. The first reason why is because of the sheer amount of detail on both of them. For some reason, it seems like to me the full mechanics is just the upgrade version of the high grade, but considering the track record of full mechanics, it's fine in my opinion. Second reason is I really like Psycho Frame, and I love how it reminds me of the Unicorn series. Third reason is the articulation present in both figures. And the final part, the build. Even though I have some problems with the build, it's possibly just a manufacturing error with both of them. As you can see, starting out, they pretty much come with the same thing. They come with the shield bits, the gun with their own attachments that can go into the back or to the hips or to the legs, whichever place that you want them to be. Then they also come with two shield adapters. The biggest difference between them is that the full mechanics, as you can see, has pivoting joint. Then they both have their own pair of beam sabers. The only difference is the thickness. Two gun effect parts, which really the only difference is one is longer with less detail, then we have one short one with more of a burst effect. And where they start to differ is like with the high grade, we have clear chest pieces instead of the typical effect pieces that I like to keep on because they look nice. And then the mass grade comes out with the 4 primary swappable fingers. I'm not really a fan of these because like with the gun that it has, it's really only held in by the thumb, which we'll get into later, but I feel like that's a drawback, that the only way that Gundam or a Mall Kit can hold on to its hand is with the swappable fingers. I don't really like that idea. But going on from that, let's start out with looking more closely at the high grade. So the main difference between these two kits other than the size are the missing parts. So I shouldn't really call them missing, but just know that on the front of the thighs and on the back, it does not have the Psycho Frame, but it has pretty much everything else. So let's get into the articulation. So the head is pretty much just on a nice ball joint, and there is one at the base of the neck. So if you push it forward a little bit, you can get a little more forward. Not that much, but comparison to some high grades like the old Banshees or whatever, it's a lot. It can do a full 360, but you have to turn the head a little bit because it clashes with the background part and the chin. The chest is on a ball joint that points this way, and they don't really give you a lot, but for a high grade it is a lot considering that. So you do get nice up and down and side to side, pretty good. A little bit or a lot of rotation for a high grade, and there is another one in the waist, but as you can see how it's built, it kind of can't really do a full 360, but it gives it more of a human-like feel, which I like. One of my favorite parts is the shoulder. As you can see, there's a ball joint behind the chest and then another ball joint for a shoulder, so you get a very good butterfly joint. The shoulder armor gets out of the way beautifully, even with the piece on top or the shield bit. There's a full 360 degree rotation, no hindrances unless you put on the shield bit. A more than 90 degree bend with a ball jointed wrist, so you can get the basic high grade articulation with that. The other thing that I wanted to mention was that the hands are beautifully detailed. Leg movement forward and backwards is pretty much unhindered until you get to the skirts, but honestly it's not even that bad. Knee to feet articulation is amazing. Last thing I have to say about aerial is wow, this proves how much Bandai has come from the early 2000 high grades. Now on to the full mechanics. Before I get into the full mechanics, this is what I mean with the gun. So if you move the thumb a little bit, it becomes very loose. But if you position it just right, it holds in there just fine. Now for the full mechanics, just like I was saying before, this is literally just the upgraded high grade. So the neck is again just on a pivot. It is a little bit bigger, so you can maybe get a little bit more range, but not that much more. Going up and down is great, a lot more than the high grade. Side to side, it has no restriction. It can do a full 360. So my chest is loose. I don't know why when I was building it it was very secure, but as you can see, there is a little bit of sway and a little unsteadiness. It's not the end of the world. Just be aware when you're building your full mechanics that you watch out for loose joints. If you gotta tighten it with just a little bit of glue, go ahead and do that. The front arch is just amazing. Going back, it can do a little bit, but it's more like it's just straightening out. Ariel's shoulders are interesting. So instead of it being a butterfly joint, it's more of a swing out or swing up joint, which in a way, if you tweaked it enough, yes, it can be a butterfly joint, but as you can see with the back joint, it's supposed to be one that can do a move like the final shot that the granddaddy is most famous for. Shoulder armor is split into two parts so you can get amazing movement, so will not get in the way. Full 360. Mine is tight, so if yours is tight, do not stress it. You only get one joint, don't mess it up. The elbow bend is interesting, so you only get one, which is what it seems like, but if you look at the gray part, technically there's a second one. So it's like the Strays where there was more movement at the wrist or a whole nother joint at the wrist, so let it pretty much touch the shoulder, gets you there. So it's not a perfect arm bend, but it's one heck of a good one. And then the hand is just on the normal ball joint, and like I said, the opposable fingers, I'm not really a fan of them, especially some like to see it, they like to fall out a lot, but these ones are actually, they're tight. And the hands are modeled after Ariel, so there's a little pointy bit, watch out for that. For skirts, are pretty much basic. They're on separable ball joints, which do be careful, if you sand it too much, you will get a loose one like mine. Then side ones are just on the pivot joint that go down and up a little bit. I don't really like to use this joint because mine is tight. I don't want to stress the joint, but it's on a swivel back, and it's not really articulation that comes with the suit, but the, let's say, added on bat skirt, it does have a hinge mechanic that does go up and pretty much all the way down. These do swing out, but mine are loose, so if I don't leave them in this pose, it will pop out. For the hip mobility, pretty much it can do the splits. There is no problem at all. Splits can be done without a problem. The knee and ankle posability is just outstanding. Lastly, the beam saber holders have a little bit of posability. So in closing, I have to say that these two individually are worth it for their own reasons. The high grade is worth it just because it's the start for these two. It has the basics that you want, basics that you need, but if you're like me and you like mass grades a little bit more just because of the size, what they can offer, I would really recommend to get the full mechanics just because it is a high grade but better. That's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been trying out a lot of new stuff and hope you guys like it. Next time is going to be of my Banshee crew, and just to let you know, it's gonna be of the Jake and Jesta and all the variations of those two that I like. So hopefully look forward to that. God bless. Hope you have a nice day. See you next time. Peace.